The new gaming generation is officially underway. Game remasters are becoming as popular as movie remakes, and in general, we love video games. Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Garrett Drake. I'm joined online by Jacob Alka.
Hello.
And Preston Pugh.
Hello as well.
Gentlemen, did I say this is episode 252 of the It's Obvious podcast? I'm a little tired. I slept 3 hours last night.
I don't know.
Well, this is 252. Welcome back. It's been a while. Good to see you both virtually, as always. I saw Preston a couple nights ago.
Friday night.
Picked up the PS5, yep. That was cool. And I got to try his mother's unbelievable chocolate peanut butter brownies that just completely changed my world. I'd never had a brownie like that in my entire life, and it was truly life-altering. So that was definitely a highlight of the week. It may have honestly overcome the hype of the PS5 after I had that brownie, to be frank. But yeah, it's good to see you both. How you guys been?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking, Garrett. I get to live with those brownies in my house, so you could say I'm doing pretty well.
It's
what a treat!
Profound temptation you have there in your face daily. I would bury my face in that every day.
Yeah, it's definitely tests my willpower. That's for sure.
Yeah, food will do that to you, among many other things, but food's a big one for me. Jacob, how you been?
I've been good. Speaking on a somewhat similar note, not as cool, unfortunately, or as good tasting, but I've been buying these cosmic brownies lately.
Oh, Jacob.
They've been doing the trick for me.
Cosmic brownies? Talking about like the
those
little
Debbie plastic brownies.
Oh, dude.
Now that you mention it, they are kind of like
you're
plastic.
eating a Crustable when we got on here. Don't get me wrong, Crustables are real good, but
I've been
pretty funny.
getting a lot of food.
Crustables and cosmic brownies. Doesn't sound like the Jacob Alka I know. Who are you?
In my defense, I'm just getting a lot of things that I can eat on the go, just so I'm not like preparing things as much. So
at least get a Swiss cake roll if you're going to go that route.
Man. Oatmeal cream pie.
Yeah.
The cosmic brownies are top tier.
I even like the Nutter Butter. Not Nutter Butter. I can't remember what they're called, but they're like peanut butter and chocolate.
Yeah, those
There's
sticks.
a lot of good Little Debbie stuff. Yeah, the sticks are pretty good.
Oh, yeah. Those are good. I agree.
And I'm down for the occasional zebra cake.
Oh, zebra cakes are incredible. Those and the Christmas tree cakes.
Oh, yeah.
So
dude.
good.
All about them.
Oh, yeah.
Do they only sell those during Christmas or is it year round?
I mean, that would make sense to me.
Yeah. But I'm not sure if they do. It might be year round.
I think it's pretty much just a zebra cake, just in tree form.
Tree form, yeah. Kind of like the Reese's pumpkins and eggs and trees they do every year. That are always better than the original Reese's. They're just girthier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you made a good point, I believe, the last time you were at my house. You and my mother were discussing this very subject, is that that these seasonal treats are just being made, so you can taste the freshness in them. At least that's what I like to think.
No, that's exactly what it is. Because I've had many Reese's in my day. Obviously, I'm nearly a 28-year-old man. I probably had hundreds of Reese's at this point, and I can always tell when a Reese's is old because it's drier and like chalkier than like a normal Reese's. It's disgusting.
100%.
It's absolutely terrible. And what's good about the pumpkins, eggs, and trees is that if you get them right when they're released, it's like been days or maybe even less for all we know that these Reese's were made, and they're just creamy and delicious and fresh, and they're so much better than old Reese's. So, huge plus for me. But,
that's great, man.
Yeah, what's going on in your lives? I know you're both
seasonal Reese's.
Yeah. I know we've been all collectively busy, so that's why we have not done an episode in a while. But what's going on in your lives aside from the new generation of gaming we have just stepped into?
You mean besides just sitting around watching everyone else play PS5 while
Jacob's still stuck in time. He's stuck back in time, whereas most of us, actually, I wouldn't even say most of us, many of us certainly have moved into the future, but unfortunately many are facing the detriment of these outlets just not delivering on time, which is a crying shame.
Well, in Target and FedEx's defense, when I pre-ordered this PS5, it said it was going to be at my door on Friday, like the day after the release, or the Wednesday after, like in that time span. So it says it's coming the last day of that time span. And unfortunately, like that's, it's unfortunate for me, but at least I'm still getting one. So I'm not like upset really. And plus,
Yeah.
I have like other games to play till then, so it's not the worst thing
100%.
ever. It just kind of sucks, when you spend all that money and then you expect, like, you see everyone else getting it on one day and you wish you could have got it that day too. But at least I have one coming and I'll be playing it before most other people, pretty much. So,
dude, I'm gonna give a quick shout out to Amazon. That
Okay.
I know they get a lot of crap, and I know I might be in the minority, but every single console I've ordered from Amazon, my Switch, my PSVR, my PlayStation 4 Pro, my PS5 now, has always come the day of release before noon. So quick shout out to Amazon for being awesome for
Killing
me.
it.
For me at least.
Even when the world's falling apart and the pandemic's raging, Amazon delivers.
Exactly.
I very briefly tasted the sting of that on Thursday because the one I had pre-ordered, or Preston had pre-ordered for me, that came from Walmart, you said, Preston?
No, Amazon.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the one that Preston had pre-ordered for me through Amazon came a day later, the digital version.
Well, there was a reason. Garrett got a new credit card, and the one that I had ordered, the PlayStation 4, got declined the day they were sending them out. So by the time I got Garrett's new information, put it in there to order it, it had been delayed by a day.
Yeah, think about how the timing could not have been worse for me on both accounts. When the pre-orders went live, I was on a tour bus with no service whatsoever. And then, of course, when they release, my credit card had swapped over like literally 48 hours before release. It's like anything that could have gone wrong went wrong, but thankfully Preston saved the day. But I did briefly taste the sting of what that would feel like to have everyone else, or what feels like mostly everyone else playing, and you're just kind of like, crap.
Yeah.
So Thursday night I played some Hunt Showdown to ease my sorrows. But thankfully the following night I was able to pick it up, and I've played a healthy amount since then. So it's been good. Neglecting work like an immature imbecile, but I need to discipline myself and get some of my work done today after this podcast. But I indulged heavily on Saturday.
Man, it's a special occasion.
It is. It's big highlight of the year for sure. So
yeah, I know we're not quite there yet, but I'd love to hear what you guys have been up to on the new machine, so I can live vicariously through you.
We're gonna go all in, man, for sure.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much all I've been doing is just work. I go to work, I come home, I work out, and then it's just video game time till I go to sleep. And it's been like that for the past 2 weeks because there's just been a lot to play, and I'm just in the mood to play. I'm just I'm in that mindset right now. So,
man, I wish I could just take a full week off and just like drown in PS5.
Yeah,
for like
dude,
6
I am
or like 5 straight days. I would give anything.
So excited for Thanksgiving break coming up. I'm just going to. I don't know what y'all's Thanksgiving looks like, but I think I'm getting like at least Thursday, Friday, and then the weekend off from work that week. So I am so pumped to just turn off everything and just dive into what I have.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, Cyberpunk isn't out at that time like it should be. That's what I was planning on really losing myself to. But like Jacob said, there's just a lot of stuff out right now. So
yeah, I'm thankful that I have enough work to keep me busy to the point where I can definitely play Morales and Dark Souls among like maybe Sackboy, maybe Bugsnax, and the rest of Astro. All of that in between now and when Cyberpunk releases, between work, like that'll keep me totally filled. So
yeah,
I'm good to go for now. But yeah, like you said, Thanksgiving break will be nice too for this stuff. But we can go ahead and talk about what we've been playing, because I mean that's pretty much the bulk of this podcast. It's just our hype and excitement and joy of the new generation of gaming. Yeah. So, Jacob, before we get into the PS5 stuff, we naturally have to ask you. I know it's not the same for you this episode, but what have you been playing?
Yeah, do you want to hear what I've been playing?
Yeah, what have you been doing to supplement this just horrifying weight that you have?
So I did make a new purchase this week. I purchased the new Call of Duty on PC.
I saw you point back at those pictures.
Oh, no.
I was like,
I purchased these new paintings.
One of those is my diploma right there.
Oh, nice.
Congrats.
You did buy that.
Yes, I bought that. I spent a lot of money on it.
A lot more money than any video game.
Where was I? Oh, Call of Duty. So I've exclusively been playing the new multiplayer, and I haven't touched the campaign yet. And it's been a good time. I find myself liking it more in terms of like its pace and the maps themselves in this game as opposed to Modern Warfare. But I think Modern Warfare looks better, and I think I like the guns more in that game. So like I know like a lot of people have been complaining about the new Call of Duty, so I'm sort of I don't know if I necessarily agree with all the complaints.
I knew after playing the beta for not even an entire multiplayer match that Modern Warfare kicks that game's ass in every way.
Yeah?
Like half a match in, I knew that Modern Warfare was better. And that's not to like trash Treyarch or the new Black Ops, but just I still believe that Modern Warfare just leapt Call of Duty forward, and like especially the technical aspects that like if you can't live up to that, I mean, I feel like every Call of Duty outside of Infinity Ward is going to feel dated in comparison. And that's not to say it's a bad game. I have heard complaints as well, and it's not fair to me to say that it's a good game or bad game, because I've only played half a multiplayer match. But in comparison to Modern Warfare, I can already tell I much prefer that game.
Okay. Well, yeah. I don't know. I'm enjoying it so far. Maybe it's just that new like Call of Duty feeling that I get every time a new one comes out, and I'm just sort of in that days of playing it exclusively for like a week or two, just multiplayer, and then I sort of just drop off severely. But I imagine I'm just going to do that again, and I'll give the campaign a shot. I'm hearing mixed things about the campaign. Like it's just okay. Like I've heard it's good, and from some people, and then others they're just like, it's just another campaign. So I might. Yeah. I'll probably end up playing through it all. It'll depend when my PS4 or PS5, comes. Like if it comes tomorrow, I probably am not gonna touch it for a while.
I've been exclusively playing the campaign. This is played good. About 2 multiplayer matches, and I think it's fine. I'm just not, I'm just really not into multiplayer as much as I used to be. So with Raven Software doing the campaign, I've been looking forward to it a lot, and I think I'm maybe halfway or almost halfway, and so far I'm really enjoying it. They are definitely trying some new things. Probably the freshest thing they're trying out is this system where there are these side missions, and you have to actually find collectibles in the main missions that give you evidence to go after certain people or like accuse certain people of doing things in these side missions. And if you don't find the evidence and solve the puzzle before you go on these missions, I don't know if you can successfully complete them, or you might kill the wrong person. And
oh, really?
Yeah, and from what I've read is there's different endings, and perhaps that could affect it based on the choices that you make. There are dialogue options and stuff that I think can also affect certain things. There's people you can kill, let spare. I just finished a mission where I was actually an undercover agent in the KGB, and I had to get a key card, and there were about 4-ish or 5 different ways I could get this key card. I could kill the person with it by poisoning him. I could set him up as being a traitor. I could, talk to a person that he was going to interrogate and convince him to kill him for me. Yeah. So this particular level was very cool. There was no shooting in it at all. I was just running around this headquarters undercover, going into areas where, I had to be stealthy. When I would kill people, I'd have to hide their bodies and stuff. So definitely, it seems like this campaign is trying to add some new things to it and keep you from just running down corridor after corridor, just shooting mindlessly. So for that, I very much appreciate it, and I'm very much enjoying it. So I look forward to see what the rest of the campaign has in store for me. Mm-hmm. And I do want to say it's very pretty. I'm playing it. I'm using the DLSS mode, which is magic. So I'm playing it in 4K Ultra on DLSS, and I'm having like a rock solid 120 frames, and
that's nice.
It's freaking awesome. But not using ray tracing, because that just just tanks it. And I know me and Garrett will talk about ray tracing when it comes to Spider-Man, but for as cool as ray tracing is, and it is incredibly cool, I just, at least with my setup right now, including the PlayStation, I don't know if it's worth it for the toll that it takes on the frame rate. Because like, don't get me wrong, it is very cool, especially in Spider-Man, but we'll talk about Call of Duty for now, to see these really nice reflections of like neon signs reflecting off the ground and stuff. But it's like you don't really notice it when you're playing the game, you know? So it's cool that it's there, but it seems like the past couple of games that have had ray tracing, for me at least, I end up turning it off because it doesn't make so much a difference, or it doesn't make it that much better to the point where I want to, you know, cut my frame rate in half or cut it significantly, you know. But that's definitely the case that I found in Call of Duty. So
yeah,
but yeah.
No, I didn't know like all those things were coming to the campaign. That's I like the idea that they're sort of like just throwing new ideas into their campaigns and, you know, seeing if people sort of gravitate towards it.
Treyarch seems to do that a lot in their campaigns, and I don't know if anything's really ever. Granted, no, Treyarch's not even making this campaign at this Raven, but in traditional Treyarch Black Ops campaigns, like for instance in the second Black Ops 2, there were choices you could make in that game. Black Ops 3, I believe, had these hubs that you could run around in and like create your loadouts and stuff. And then Black Ops 4 was the really bad one, in my opinion, that had the multiplayer and stuff. So it definitely seems like every Black Ops game has tried to add some sort of like mechanic to it, but I don't know if any has stuck yet. But definitely seems like they're kind of going back to what they did with the second one, with adding some choices and kind of having some more open environment. But
you know what that kind of reminds me of? Because I know that Raven worked with Bungie when they still were working with Activision. And I wonder if Raven sort of took some of those experiences away, like going to kill enemies, like assassinate an enemy in the open environment. I wonder if like just their experience working with Destiny and their open environments sort of maybe help them make this campaign. I don't know. Something to think about, maybe.
I don't know.
But yeah, it definitely sounds interesting, the new campaign. So I'll probably give it a whirl here tonight or something. Yeah, I got nothing else to do.
Definitely. I mean, if you have the game, I definitely try it out. It's very fun. So yeah.
But yeah, that's all I've been playing for the most part. One more thing. So a mount that I've been farming in WoW. I've been farming this mount for about 8 months at this point.
My goodness.
Yeah, and you can do this dungeon once a day, and you kill the second boss in the dungeon. He has a very, very low chance to drop this raptor mount. And after 416 attempts of running this dungeon...
Do you keep count, or does it keep count for you?
I have an add-on that shows me how many times I've killed him.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Or it shows how many times I've attempted to kill the boss to get the mount. And it'll do that for any mount that I'm chasing in the game.
Is this like a Ford Raptor or like the dinosaur Raptor?
It's a dinosaur Raptor. Great question. But yeah, it's not even that nice of a raptor, but it's just something that I've been chasing for a long time.
It's not that nice of a raptor. I've seen better raptors in my day.
It's just the
I'm like downplaying it after I just achieved something.
Is this like a Jurassic Park 1 raptor, or is it like a Jurassic Park 3 raptor?
It's like a Jurassic Park 1 raptor.
Remember in 3 they have like the little like they're not feathers, but those little doohickeys that hang off their heads. They have like blue
like their
stripes and
or
stuff.
Whatever those are. He doesn't have those, so he's red, and he has like armor on the back of his neck.
Interesting, an armored red raptor. That's pretty cool.
But I got him, and that's all that's important. Now,
ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
That's
cool.
Still waiting for the expansion to drop.
So I got to ask you this, Jacob.
Yes.
What is the what's the motivation there? I'm asking you. I'm not trying to be sarcastic. I'm genuinely asking you. Like, what motivates you to keep going after something 416 times? Like,
I think
once you get it, is it just like, look, I got it?
Just genuinely, it's just, setting a goal and achieving it through the means of grinding something mindlessly it's appealing to me for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just like grinding for things. Like it could be like I like grinding mounts, but I could kill the same boss and get a sword that I really want. I don't know. It's all about just looking cool, I guess. And if you can look cool on a new mount, then
says the guy that get pissed every time Preston and I try on our new outfits in any game where you can customize your character.
Fair. I definitely have cared more about like the look of my character since I returned to WoW, like last year. So, like before that point, I would more focus on doing raids and stuff like that, which I still want to do in the new expansion. But the game's been sort of dry of content for a while, so all that's really left to do is level characters or farm for old transmogs or mounts and stuff like that. So it's just something to do when you don't want to play anything else.
I get that.
But I have lots to play now, so I know the new expansion is coming out for WoW, so I'll definitely be putting some time into that. But I'll also be playing PS5 and Call of Duty and all these other things. So and Cyberpunk.
Cool.
Yeah,
Preston,
that's what I've been playing.
Okay, Preston, I know you and I have played much of the same. If you've played anything aside from Assassin's Creed, Morales, Demon Souls, and Astro's Playroom, I know you said you've been playing Bug Snacks and Call of Duty. You've been playing anything aside from those two?
Still knocking out Persona 5. I am deep into Say's Palace. So yeah. Still doing that. I've already got that game installed on my PS5, got my saves transferred over, so I'm still going at that game. I'm not letting it go, I promise.
Did you transfer all your saves?
No, just Persona 5.
Nice.
But yeah, probably the next game I'm going to try out is Days Gone, because I'm very interested to see how that runs on PS5, because that was the main thing that kept me from continuing it on PS4 is it just ran like crap. So very excited to check it out, and I heard that it runs better. So just excited to actually see it with my own eyes.
Have any of us tried out Assassin's Creed?
Yes.
Okay. I have played probably 8-ish hours of Valhalla. So I am excited to talk about that. But the only other thing that I've played that Garrett hasn't is Bug Snacks. And I can say it is just as adorable as it looks in the trailers. And it's just a lot of fun.
I want to play that game with someone.
Yeah, it's definitely a good game to have somebody play backseat with you. So just because of having somebody there to help you figure out the puzzles on how to actually catch the bug snacks would be fun, and just the characters that you interact with and stuff. It's just, I don't know. Yeah, it definitely would be a lot of fun to have somebody there with you. But yeah, you play as a journalist who goes to Snacktooth Island, and you're trying to find this I believe they're called grumpuses. That's their species, named Lizbert. She's gone missing, so you got to find her. So pretty much the main goal of the game, or at least where I am right now, is the residents of Snacktooth Island, or Snackburg, I believe is the town, Snackburg. They have left the town, and I am seeking them all out and completing quests for them to convince them to go back to their home. And when they're there, you interview them to find out if they know anything about Lizbert. And it's just a lot of fun. Like I said, it's just real cute. Just taking pictures of the bug snacks and finding out how to capture all of them is just a lot of fun. And talking with the people that live there, they're written very well. The voice acting is really good. And they just have a whole lot of personality. You kind of have a journal that keeps track of the people you've come in contact with, and it tells you their likes and dislikes and their favorite bug snacks and the other villagers that they like and don't like. And probably my favorite one right now is, man, I'm completely forgetting her name, but she talks just like a Valley girl. And her name's like Becketh something. They all have hilarious, they all have hilarious names. But she is the like I said, Valley girl teen who's just gossiping about everybody in town, and she's a whole lot of fun to talk to. So yeah, it's really fun. It's on PS Plus, so if you have a Plus membership, there's no excuse to not at least try out Bugsnax. So my only complaint with it is that it surprisingly does not run good on PS5, believe it or not.
Weird.
I don't know why, but there are some frame rate issues with it, but and it does not look really good at all. So again, have no clue why it doesn't run flawlessly, but
and was like heavily marketed too in like the PlayStation 5 coverage, which is really bizarre.
Yeah, I don't know why it's having those issues. And there was just a patch yesterday as well, and I jumped in this morning to see if that fixed anything, and it still has some frame rate issues. But it is still a lot of fun, and it's not like you need this game to be running at like locked 60. It's not like it's affecting the game per se. But just a little weird why that's even an issue. Just some optimization issues, I guess. But yeah, having fun with that. But besides the games that we are both playing together, that's pretty much all I've played. So if you want to both collaborate on one of the other others,
the only things I've played,
are we gonna have a what are we
from,
playing collab?
Yeah, totally. I figure we'll just go like game by game, kind of discuss our thoughts on all of them.
Okay.
Yeah, the only things I played this week, aside from the stuff Preston and I've been playing, is Hunt for a while. Good to be back in that game. Always a good time. Played a little Doom Eternal and Modern Warfare, and actually played with some old friends on Modern Warfare the other night. We all played Warzone. I talked to Ridge Miracle. I think I told you guys this. I haven't told you this, Jacob, but I talked to Ridge Miracle. It was me, Zach, Andy, and Ridge playing Modern Warfare. It was so much fun, dude. It was hilarious. Like,
what'd you guys play?
When?
No, like what did you play? Like Warzone?
Warzone, yeah.
Oh, cool.
I thought I texted you the night we were on. I can't remember, but
you did.
Oh, yeah, you said you hadn't updated it. Yeah, it was so much fun, dude. So that was a really good time, and that just really reminded me of our high school days playing Call of Duty like we used to. Like I don't even think we like remotely paid attention to the matches. We were just having a good time catching up and talking while we were playing. So it was cool.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, of course. No, we did not. We had some really good matches, though. We had some like really cool squad moments too, where we would all collectively get like 5 or 6 kills and make it into like the top 15, top 20, and we'd die, but it was still a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, which we're not going to touch on for obvious reasons. The new consoles are here. Thankfully, Preston and I have acquired them. And I know Preston and I have like very briefly talked about this. We've texted a few times, and I was at his house and he showed us Spider-Man before I actually played it myself. But we've been playing a lot of it, so I know this isn't necessary. We'll get to, I guess, Miles and Demon Souls after Assassin's Creed, because Preston and I played about the same amount of time. I played roughly 10 or 11 hours, and Preston's played close to that.
One quick question. Are you playing it on PS5?
I'm on PC,
okay.
But I think I might. I'm questioning if I want to go back to it, because
really?
I think I've come to a realization in recent years that the like really big open world, and this is going to sound weird at first because no Cyberpunk's coming, but stick with me. Games that feel familiar, that are like really long and have like tedious tasks and stuff, I just think I've really grown out of, because like I've played roughly 10 hours of Assassin's Creed. I've made it to England. I've played like 3 or 4 hours in England of those 10 or 11 hours. And like I can already kind of see like what I'll be doing gameplay wise. I'm sure there's some cool characters to meet. I'm sure there's some cool story beats along the way. But as far as like what you do in the world, I'm just kind of like, I'm just not feeling. I think that's why I couldn't finish Origin. I couldn't finish Odyssey, because I think The Witcher for me was so good, and I like spent so much time with that any game that even feels remotely like that, I just feel like I don't want to play for some reason.
I understand.
And I also think like, I know you can like unlock a lot of abilities and stuff, but I think the combat is just so boring. And the problem is that it isn't, I don't think it's inherently bad combat. I just think after playing Tsushima, I'm like, this is so excellent that playing another melee third-person action game that isn't anything like that is like very underwhelming to me. So, the cool parts I think are, the character customization's cool. It's very beautiful, like gorgeous open world, like especially Norway and then England, like the lighting and a lot. I'm not playing on ultra settings by any means, but even playing in 2K and like high settings, it still looks great. It runs fairly well on my PC. I average between like 60 and 70 frames consistently, but it's still a solid experience. Like, it runs fine. I've definitely experienced a lot of unpolished glitches in like the combat and animations in a few spots, but I've not remotely hated it at all. I've just been kind of like fine. It's like fine for me. So that's why I wonder. I'm like, if I go back to it, it'll be a while. I might go back to it, but right now I'm like far more compelled with everything else I'm playing. And it's probably a victim of its timing too, because I'm sure at its core it's a really good game, but like now that I have Dark Souls or Demon Souls and Miles Morales, those games are just so awesome that it's hard for me to imagine going back to Assassin's Creed anytime soon. But that's more or less how I feel so far. Preston, how you feeling about it?
Yeah, I mean, I completely understand where you're coming from. I think I'm a little higher on it than you, but I still kind of agree with your grievances on it. It is kind of just a lot of mindless things that you're doing. It is better about that than I believe Odyssey was. There are fewer side missions, and a bunch of the side missions that I have done are more interesting in my opinion. Especially because at least the difficulty that I'm playing on, I think it's called Explorer. All of these side missions don't have map markers, so I actually have to figure out what to do besides
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, besides just running towards a random blip on the map, which that was a lot of what Odyssey was.
Mm-hmm.
Just running from marker to marker, killing things. But that might be what it's like on one of the easier difficulties on it. I'm not sure, but yeah, those I'm having a lot more fun with those side missions. The combat, the more that I spend time with it, and the more unique skills that I find, the funner it is. I just got a harpoon somewhere. It's you find these extra skills in books scattered around the world, so it's not like you're unlocking these skills through a skill tree, so you actually have to explore to get some of the cool combat abilities. So I found this scorpion like get over here hook that I can use to throw enemies into each other. I found this bull rush move where I can tackle somebody and just beat their head in. I found a AoE attack that I just kind of jump up in the air and smash down, and then I am throwing axes. Those are pretty much the only 4 that I've found thus far, and that definitely makes the combat funner. I found a 2-handed sword that I'm using a lot, and whenever I execute people with that thing, it is really satisfying. I'm like decapitating them, chopping their arms off. My favorite is I kick them into the air, and on their way down, I like cut an arm and their head off at the same time. So it looks fun. Or not, it looks cool. It is fun. But
one thing I wanted to say about that is I think to add more context to how I feel about the combat, and I know it's totally different styles because obviously a Viking fights incredibly differently from a samurai.
Yeah.
So I think what I liked about Tsushima in particular is that there's a lot of finesse and like it's very skill based in the sense that every kill you get in that game, every parry you do, every attack is all you're doing it yourself versus a lot of these moves you unlock, you just like hold a trigger and press a button and like an animation plays out. I think that's why it's less satisfying. It definitely looks cool and I love the brutality of it. Like that's sick. But I think that's what's missing for me is that I feel like I was fully in control in Tsushima, whereas this, like a lot of the cool stuff is kind of done for you.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's definitely more of the visual side of it is more appealing to me than probably playing it. And that might get really old for me in the next hour, but as of now it's fine. It is kind of once you're getting used to it, it is still just weirdly clunky and the animations aren't the best, especially after having played Ghost of Tsushima. So yeah, it kind of it is what it is in that aspect. The characters I've run into are fun. I'm interested in the story. I just started doing a bunch of stuff for the hidden ones or the assassins, and I really
they're the coolest part for me so far. Is like the way they've just been introduced. And I've only played 10 hours, but like what I've played with the hidden ones, quote unquote, so far has been really cool to me.
Yeah, so I'm interested in doing their quest line, which they brought back the tree of like the Templars or the Order of Ancients is what they call them in this game. They brought that back from Odyssey, so that was one of my favorite things from Odyssey. So glad that's in this game. I really don't like the boat riding, and I believe there should be a lot more fast travel markers in the game because there are hardly any. So there is
They're like, please explore our big beautiful world where there's hardly anything to find. Please.
Exactly. There is really not a lot to find at all. You can run towards these gold icons that are can either be armor, weapons, skills, or these ingots that you use to upgrade your weapons. But outside of that, I haven't just come across anything. It pretty much
I've
tells
had one
you.
cool experience exploring.
Okay.
You may have found the same guy. He's in Norway. I think the highlights for me are the hidden ones, and then I was climbing this gigantic mountain in Norway just all by myself in the snow, and it was gorgeous when I was looking out at the sunset, and I could see all of the islands.
I can
could go
relate
explore.
to you there. The game is freaking mind-blowingly gorgeous, especially the environment. Like, it has impressed me every time I boot it up.
Yeah,
very
like
pretty.
that was cool. And then I'm descending the mountain, and I run into this guy. You may have met this guy. This guy has a bunch of boxes on the side of a cliff. Have you met him? Yeah. I thought that was a really just bizarre and kind of funny.
I want to tell you this is that wasn't just a random encounter. It was a blue marker. I was That's
but
what I'm
I
saying.
hadn't
Nothing is just
marked it on my
random
map.
in this game.
Yeah, it felt random to me because I hadn't marked it. I just kind of stumbled upon the guy. I was like, "Oh, what's up?" And I talked to him, and I mean, this isn't like that. I wouldn't really call it a spoiler. It's just like a funny moment. The guy, you throw these boxes off a cliff, and he winds up killing himself for the gods by jumping off the cliff. And it's funny. I wound up descending that mountain anyway after that mission, and I actually found his dead body at the bottom of the cliff.
Oh, nice.
And all the broken boxes, which I thought was kind of a cool touch.
That is cool. I like the boss fights in this game. Those are kind of fun. They're harder than I thought they were going to be. I think I'm playing on hard difficulty, not the hardest difficulty. But that's my biggest pet peeve is playing Assassin's Creed games, and I'm just absolutely destroying everybody. So I at least want it to be somewhat of a challenge. But even on hard mode, besides these bosses, these normal guys are fairly easy to take out.
Some of them are such idiots, dude.
Yeah.
The AI in some spots is atrocious.
That's the thing that, and let me say, I am enjoying this game, and I don't know if I'm going to finish it, but I am consistently going back to it daily to kind of knock out a few missions and stuff. It is fun for me. I do like upgrading my gear. I'm excited to find additional gear. Like whenever I see an armor icon pop up, I immediately run towards it because I know at some point in this game there's going to be some sick like Thor armor or something cool. So that's exciting to me, and I want to go find that stuff. But it's just, you can totally tell they've been trying to make their version of The Witcher since Origins, and it's
was like little tidbits of Red Dead 2 in there.
It's just not close, man. It's just like those games are just so much better in almost every way that it's just like, why can't y'all reach that level? Like
I think the problem is that Ubisoft is their studios are tied down in the sense that that's not, it's like biannual now. It's like every 2 years now. Whereas CD Projekt Red, man, look at what they've been doing with Cyberpunk alone. They've delayed it like 4 times. Like they can take all the time they want to do exactly what they want.
Yeah.
Whereas the higher ups at Ubisoft are like, this is what you're doing. You have 2 years, make it happen. End of story. That's probably why.
Like they need to. I think they're going to do a reset with the new consoles out now. With this being like the Witcher knockoff trilogy. I hope that they kind of look at the drawing board again and make this game that I've envisioned, like this is Assassin's Creed meets Dishonored type of actual Assassin's Creed game, because you don't even feel like an assassin anymore in these games.
And you already know what I want to call it too when it comes out.
What's that?
Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, okay. But and even like Ghost of Tsushima just came out of nowhere, and it's like that's a better Assassin's Creed game than this is.
I know, very much so. It's like good luck Ubisoft if you tackle feudal Japan. I mean, it's a fat chance you're gonna overcome that game.
So I don't know. It's still fun, but it's who knows how much longer I'm going to be playing it, because I am a lot more interested in Immortals Phoenix Rising. because the very crappy Stadia demo that I played on my atrocious internet, I had a lot of fun with that game, and that's kind
definitely looks really cool.
Yeah, that game's kind of calling to me more so than this game at the moment. So we'll see.
Yeah, though it is clearly heavily Breath of the Wild inspired. I think it's easily one of the most unique IP to come from Ubisoft in a long time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So playing it though, it feels exactly like Origins. Like
Origins?
Yeah. Combat wise, my bad. Assassin's Creed. It definitely feels like they took some Assassin's Creed combat aspects and put them into that game. Like even the HUD and stuff looks very similar. But it was still a lot of fun. It's just over the top. I'm very excited. I do want to say, since we're talking about Ubisoft games really quick, I did play a few hours of Watch Dogs Legion and was very disappointed. It was just so boring to me. And I was really, I was looking forward to that game a lot more than Assassin's Creed, and I'm actually enjoying Assassin's Creed a lot more than I ever did Watch Dogs Legion. That game just felt extremely half-baked. The gimmick of the whole recruit anybody thing, I didn't even do one time. It just was so boring to me. I just kind of stuck with who they gave me, and just feels like that gimmick, in my opinion, just fell flat. I know that people have enjoyed that game and it got pretty decent reviews, but I'm enjoying their Assassin's Creed open world game a lot more than the Watch Dogs. So, but that's all I really have to say about Assassin's Creed. I might have more to say on a later podcast once I've played a little bit more. But yeah, I think it's fun. So I am going to play more of it. So I guess we can get on to the actual PS5 stuff now.
Yeah, let's do it, man. In general, PlayStation 5, of course, the obvious stuff like the UI, the controller. Let's tackle that first. Just how does it emotionally? How do you feel to have the PlayStation 5? I want to ask, because my feelings are similar to 2013 with the PS4, but they're very different in a lot of ways.
That's interesting.
Like, how do you just feel emotionally?
I mean, I was excited. It's, I'm really into new hardware. I love unboxing it. I love setting it up. I had my cabinet space prepped for this thing the morning of. I, ran a new HDMI 2.1 compatible cable like down to it to be ready. Yeah, so I was prepared to just slide that thing in there and get going, and just setting it up was extremely easy. It's really fast, and I don't know. Really I was just it is really freaking big. When I first unboxed it, it was actually smaller than I thought it was going to be, just because I was prepared for it to be the biggest thing ever. But once I actually slid it into my shelf, it looks freaking huge. But I was just mainly excited. But yeah, what are you referring to in terms of feeling different about it?
Yeah, I think it's because we're just at different stages of life now. Like, I know we were both. See, I was in school at the time exclusively when the PS4 came out, so all I really had to worry about in life was just school and video games. And so in that sense, I was like hype overload for the PS4, and then PS5, like I was definitely hyped, but it was like a different kind of hyped. I was like, wow, like I'm so stoked for this, but I don't have that much time to play it these days, which really makes me sad. But it felt really cool to bring it home and set it up, and just like you said, it's a super quick setup. It's very simple, and I just loved holding the controller for the first time. That was cool. And it's funny about the design of the PlayStation 5. The longer I've looked at it, the more I'm like, this is just the most ridiculous looking thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, what were they thinking with this design? But at the same time, like, I appreciate it because it's just so weird in comparison to the PlayStation 4. But it is just really.
I had that exact same revelation. I was just, once it was all set up, I was staring at it. And I was just like, wow.
This is like a very bold design choice, and it's funny, it's very deceiving. This is a thick boy, dude. Like the PlayStation 5, I see it from the side a lot because I'm in my kitchen and I'll like look over to it, in reverence, of course. And it is thick on the sides, dude. But like obviously when it's standing up, it looks very slim, especially the digital version. Like if it's standing up and you're looking at the front, you're like, oh, this thing's slender and beautiful. But like the sides of it, dude, are chunky. And I think that's what makes it look especially funny when you see like the big ass, like the ass of it, and then you see like the popped collar and like the curvy top. I'm like, this is just weird looking, dude. But aside from that, like it is amazing. I mean, I love the UI. I think the UI is really cool, and just of course the SSD inside, how quickly everything's loaded. Like jumping into Spider-Man in particular, dude, and just how there are literally no loading screens once you're in the game. It's just fascinating to me.
You can literally start Spider-Man like when you've progressed in the game, and when you boot it up, you know, you're not starting the game, you're just going straight into it.
Yeah.
You can have your PlayStation turned completely off, turn on your PlayStation, start the app, and get into the game in like less than a minute. It is insanely fast.
Wild.
It is stupid fast.
And it's so cool too when Miles Morales, for example, in the game, because I'm used to PS4, you know, if you go into like an enemy hideout, he'll like open a grate or a door and like pop in and it'll load for like 20 to 30 seconds. Well, I mean, it pops open and drops right in. You're still going.
Yeah.
So, and then of course, like transitioning into cutscenes, there's no loading. So it's like gameplay to cutscene seamless the entire time. So
I mean, there's no
really
even fast travel. You literally go to your map, you hold down X, the menu like goes to black, and then instantly,
and like almost immediately fades up.
Miles just walks up the subway tunnel, and you're automatically into the game. Like there's no loading at all. It's insane.
That helps a lot with Demon Souls too, because I have died a few times and it instantly loads back. Like it's one thing in like any other Souls game before where you die and you have to load for like 15, 20 seconds.
You remember Bloodborne when it came out, how long you had to wait?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
You like stare at yourself and like for 2 minutes just at the black screen, just like looking into your own eyes. Just awful.
And having to run all the way back to a boss a lot of the times is just harrowing.
Yeah.
But so far the loading has been just unbelievable. It's so good. That and the controller, of course, like visually, I think Demon Souls especially is like, holy crap, that's next gen for sure. But in terms of like the hardware itself, the load speeds thus far and the controller, which is so exciting because from a visual standpoint, Demon Souls is unbelievably gorgeous. So we already know that like if that's the starting point for PS5, and we already saw how good Last of Us 2 looked on PS4, Lord knows what the end of the generation is going to look like, because it looks exceptional.
Yeah. Naughty Dog is going to just melt our minds.
I know. I can't even begin to fathom what they're going to do. And I imagine to some extent, I don't know if they're just going to do what most other like tail end of the generation developers are doing. Like, oh, our game just like runs better. There's like a better performance mode. This, that, or the other has been slightly upgraded. If they'll do like a full remaster of Last of Us 2 for PS5. I don't know. Kind of like they did with the first one.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty sick. But anyway, visually, we know we have a lot to look forward to, and just how quickly the games load and how great the controller feels, and already like how these two developers in particular have taken advantage of the DualSense is just incredible. So like if this is just the beginning, like that's what's so exciting, is like the road ahead for PlayStation 5 is just so exciting.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the controller, because the controller has like blown my mind so far.
Yeah, it's really cool. It feels great. It is hefty, man. Like it feels like a premium product.
Wonderful. Yeah. It does. I literally, every time I've used it, I've washed my hands before I've held it. One, because it's white, but secondly, just because I feel like it's so nice. I'm like, I need to treat you with care, and I promise to never break you, because you're that special.
Yeah. But the star of the show are the triggers.
Absolutely.
Those things are insane. People can say all day long, like, or like tell you what the haptic triggers are. And it's kind of like VR. Until you actually put your hands on it, you have no clue what it is. Because it's even reading, a lot about it before I got my hands on it. It felt, completely different. Just actually feeling triggers resist you or, vibrate or give way in a certain way that like has to do with what you're doing in the game is just so freaking cool.
Do you have an example?
Yeah. For instance, it's for instance in Bug Snacks. It actually uses it extremely well. When you take a picture, when you pull the trigger down, it stops halfway and then it clicks in like you're clicking the top of a camera.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that's so good, dude.
When you have a slingshot and you pull it back, it pulls very easy, but the longer you hold it, the trigger starts to shake like your arm's getting tired. It's just stuff when you're swinging in Spider-Man, when you hold the trigger down, you can feel like the tension of the line is there
of the web, yeah.
But then when you jump, when you're holding the trigger down, the tension automatically goes away.
Ooh,
because you've let go of it.
Yeah.
In Astrobot,
the bow and arrow.
There's
really
a bow and arrow, and it's like as you pull it back, you can feel the tension on the trigger. It's just,
I mean, that game obviously is the showcase for the controller
sure.
You can name like 100 examples in that demo alone of the controller.
But it's like the trigger. It's
not demo, full game.
I just thought it was going to be a trigger with vibration in it, kind of like the Xbox, but like no, this thing like restrict it, like pulls against you. It can vibrate. Like it's so weird. It's wild.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool.
It is very next gen. Like it's nothing like we've felt before on a controller.
Yeah.
So it's very, very cool.
Even the motion, what's it called? The haptic feedback, the vibration. That is I think very similar to the Switch controller in the terms of like how it feels, but I'm feeling it a lot more on this controller than I ever did with the Switch. Just even in Astrobot, when you're walking around, each one of when his feet hit the ground, you feel a very slight rumble on as his feet
like the
hit.
handles.
It's just so precise.
I bet
just
that's
like
pleasure.
It's not just like a rumble. It's like a little like tap that you can feel.
Yeah.
And for instance, in Spider-Man, when you use like a venom punch or something, it's just like the controller just like rips at that moment, so you can like really
like surges
feel it.
Almost.
Yeah. So
there's one cool touch in Demon Souls when you light your sword on fire. Have you done that?
I have not.
Yeah, if you light your sword on fire, it just very gently rumbles in your hands. Like you can feel like the flames.
Awesome.
It's awesome.
That's cool.
Oh, goodness, I need it.
And I wanted to apologize before we continue, Jacob. I can see it in your eyes. We are not helping your weight right now.
No,
we're talking about this.
No, I'm enjoying it though.
So
that's all I got.
Yeah. Hey, but like I said, at least you know you're getting one. There are people out there that just literally can't find one, and
yeah,
that
and like talking about the game saves from PS4 transferring over was incredibly simplistic. It worked like a charm for me. I have encountered the bug where like your downloads get stuck in queue, and I just wanted to play games. So when it showed me that and I could tell something was wrong, I was like, well, I'm just gonna leave it because I want to play so bad. I'll just deal with that later. But it ended up downloading everything overnight, which is great. I just didn't like dwell on it, and it took care of itself. But that was a glitch I encountered with the software initially, was that all of my downloads were there, but just nothing would start downloading. But it ended up doing it. I guess it just didn't show me like them actively doing it. It was probably doing it, but just not showing me the visual aspect.
Yeah, no progress.
But yeah, all that's taken care of. Is very simple, and I think that's also just a great feature that I know people had clamored about toward the tail end of last generation, that a lot of games should be backwards compatible, and thankfully just transferring your saves and all those backwards compatible games is there. So it was not, it's very different from last generation, where jumping into PS4 and like an idiot, I sold my 360 and PS3 the first 6 months of PS4. I was very bummed that I'd done that. I'm like, I've made a foolish decision. I'm never doing this again. But thankfully I can put away my Pro, stash it in the closet, and feel like I'm not like saying goodbye to an old friend, because it's all there with me on PS5. So
yeah,
that's great. So we've talked about the hardware. Let's talk about Spider-Man first, because I am freaking adoring Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew I was going to enjoy it, but it really surprised me by how incredibly good it is. Saying that this is like a
glorified DLC.
Yeah, is
absolutely not.
Is completely selling it short. I think in a lot of aspects, this game is better than the original.
100%.
I think the set piece moments in this game are better than the set piece moments in the original. I believe the boss fights in this game, especially the final boss fight of this DLC, is freaking incredible.
This DLC?
Or my bad, you know what I mean.
Dude, you've revealed their secrets.
The ending boss fight of this game is just mind-blowingly good. And I will say the story of this game is mind-blowingly good. The story of this game is so emotional and has so many incredible moments that I will not lie, this game made me tear up at the end
Man.
So the way these characters interact with each other, and just seeing what Miles has gone through in his life, and just to see what it's led up to at the end of this game is amazing. I love this character so much. I mean, I liked him in the original game, but and I never saw myself, like, when Miles was starting to appear in like Into the Spider-Verse and stuff, I was kind of bummed, because I was like, I love Peter Parker. Like, I don't want, to do anything Spider-Man related without Peter Parker. But of course, watching Into the Spider-Verse, I got over that because of how, cool Miles was in that, and how much I grew to like him. But this game just further solidified that I view Miles as Spider-Man as I do Peter Parker, and this game solidified that feeling for me. So I'm so excited to see what happens in the next game, and just where Peter and Miles go.
I have some predictions about the next game we can talk about later.
Oh, I do too. The way that this game ends, there's an after credit scene. I definitely think I know where it's going for sure. But
Cool.
but yeah, it's a fantastic game. It doesn't change too many things gameplay wise. It just refines them. It is just
Totally.
better than the original game.
Yeah. I echo all that completely. I'm trying to think of some of the more specific aspects that really stand out to me. Miles as a character, I have absolutely just totally fallen in love with. I think he's so cool.
Yeah.
And love the performance. I can't remember the actor's name, but I think what I love about Miles is what we didn't get from Peter Parker in the first game, which I've always been interested in, like, the older idea of Peter Parker. I know Peter Parker's not like old.
He's
this,
24.
we have the more experienced, like, I've been doing this a while, Peter Parker in the first game. Whereas Miles is sort of like, I'm not like comparing him to Peter Parker in the sense of, like, they have the same personality, like they're totally different characters and people, but we kind of get that young adolescent, like, I'm figuring this out as I go Spider-Man, which has always been like my favorite era of Spider-Man, or like age. And I've always been inspired by like underdog stories, and Miles very much takes on a lot of responsibilities, like the underdog Spider-Man. And that those types of stories have always like really impacted me on an emotional level. So that's what I've loved, just seeing Miles like figure it out.
The later half of this game is gonna, exactly what you're saying is just big time in this game.
Yeah, it's the cross of like him like taking on more than he can handle, and then also like his friend aspect, like his buddy, like stoked that he's also that he's Spider-Man. He's like trying to help him out, like with like developing an app and figuring out crimes and stuff. I love that because it just feels real. Like if I'd become a superhero and like one of my friends was like helping me like achieve that or do those things, it's just really fun as well. I really like. I think the web swinging is just by far, like Preston said, it's just so much more refined. I mean, animation wise, Miles is so much fun to swing around as that, like, swinging as Peter Parker will just never be the same from the first game, because Miles is just so cool with his style, and it's just so fluid, and like the animations blend together so well. And I could swear, I think Preston and I have talked about this before we started recording, something mechanically they've refined to where it just feels the first game feels great, but this feels so much better than that. And I can say that with confidence because all week leading up to Miles Morales, I've been playing Spider-Man PS4 just because I was so hyped for Miles Morales, and it feels different in a good way. So I've loved that. I think costume-wise, this is a random thought. I think all the costumes in the game are really cool. And of course, like his classic suit that he eventually gets is sick. But I really love it's called the Great Responsibility suit. It's the one I don't want to spoil how he gets it, but it looks a lot like Peter Parker's first suit and has like these really big eyes and like something about the young kid like trying to be Spider-Man for the first time in his life and then that goofy costume. It also looks cool, but there's like he has like elbow pads and knee pads. I'm like, it's just something so charming about that I love.
I love that because it's like Peter's just trying to like take care of him. And give him
I
like,
love that too.
And stuff.
That's another thing I love is like the relationship so far between Peter and Miles is that Peter not once from when they meet up until now has ever been opposed to the idea of Miles being Spider-Man. He's always been like, "Oh, dude, you're like me. Like, I'll help you. Like, let's do this." Like, he's been such like a brotherly older brother mentor to him this whole time, and it's just so sweet that Peter like takes the time to. I know it's like a very very much a video game thing, but Peter's like taking the time to set up all these training sequences with holograms before he went out of town to like help Miles, which I love so much. I love that like they have phone calls throughout the game and stuff. So it's been, I've really liked that dynamic. Obviously, we can't talk about the story because there is a lot to spoil in it. And I really like what they've done with some familiar. If you've seen Into the Spider-Verse going into this, you may be like, oh, are they just going to like retread some of the same themes or some of the same character tropes? Not at all. I was very surprised by a lot of this. I mean, I haven't finished it yet, but I've been very surprised by a lot of the story beats in this.
Yeah.
And the direction they've taken some of these characters, I think is really, really cool. I think another aspect I love, the music is so good. And I know it's the same composer, but I really also like the licensed music they put in the game. I didn't realize there's one song by Jaden Smith called
I'm Ready to Go or something.
Yeah, it's called On My Own.
Oh, okay.
I think there's another one called Ready to Go too. Yeah. But On My Own specifically, and in this moment of the game, I don't want to spoil it for people, when it plays, is just so cool. And you start swinging around while this licensed song plays. It was just so awesome. And the city looks just breathtaking running at 60 FPS. Performance mode, by the way, is like just kick. I mean, fidelity obviously is really pretty, but Spider-Man and like locked at 60 FPS and native 4K is just unreal, dude. It is so good. And visually, it still looks absolutely breathtaking.
Dude, literally so like the only difference between it is I think I'm sure there's other things like when you read the description of the differences between fidelity and performance, the only difference I can tell is just the ray tracing. Everything else looks exactly the same in my opinion.
And like you said, unless you stop to appreciate it, you really don't notice. And they've done like the fake low res ray tracing. It's not ray tracing, but they like mimicked that like from the first game. There's still reflections and stuff. It isn't just the actual reflections. So from a visual standpoint, when you're just swinging around fighting bad guys, like you can hardly tell the difference. I mean, it just looks so good.
The only part of the game that I could tell like, holy crap, this looks nuts with ray tracing on is when you're getting a car back at night. And you're driving through the city, the car actually reflects everything.
That's
Whereas in the performance mode, it just looks like a shiny car. But besides that, it's you're not really losing anything being on the performance mode. And just finally playing this game at a 60 FPS, it is just like meant to play like that.
Oh, yeah. Even on PS4, I remember we fantasized. I was like, man, this is so good. But if this ran at 60 FPS, like, that's it, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it needs so bad. And it is just amazing at 60 FPS. Like, I was swinging around in, like, the gorgeous lighting in the snowy city with snow flurries and stuff, dude, is just so beautiful. And that's, like probably, like, one of my favorite moments is when you're in his goofy costume that Peter gives him, just swinging around on, like, a clear day with the snow flurries and the music playing. I'm like, this is just so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and his combat. Preston mentioned his combat. The combat is just so much fun. Like the Venom powers take it to a whole new level.
Venom powers.
It's like, how do you go back to playing as Peter without the Venom powers now? And even the invisibility, I've had fun.
Oh,
with.
Dude, the invisibility is freaking awesome. Like it has made stealth in the game so much funner. Just the invisibility and being able to take down enemies from the sides of walls as well, which I don't believe was in the original one, just makes the stealth so much funner.
I've also noticed there's a lot of cool, my mind's bouncing all over the place. There's a lot of cool enemy banter while you're fighting them. Like a lot more so than I remembered from the first game. Like they'll have full on conversations with, sometimes like Miles will like talk back to them like while you're fighting like 8 guys at once. And some of the side missions especially really do a great job of that. That's been cool.
What do you think of the new bad guy?
The new bad guy.
Yeah, I'm forgetting it. Simon.
Oh, you talking about Troy Baker's guy?
Yeah, Troy Baker's guy.
Yeah. See, I haven't finished the game yet, but obviously Troy Baker kills it.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, oh, this is just classic Troy Baker, just being like a sleaze bag. But there's one scene in particular that I won't spoil where he like gets really pissed off. I was like, and then I really felt it. I was like, holy crap! I was like, man, Troy Baker, man, he's so good. So he's really, really good.
Yeah.
But man, what's something else? I mean, I love the game so much, dude. I don't want to spoil this either, but just how they design Miles' suit and sort of like the sequence that leads to that is really cool too.
There are a bunch of sick suits. There's one called The End, and it is. I wore it. I can't wear any other suit besides the suit he's supposed to be in when I do story missions, or else it just is off to me. But when I was just doing side missions and stuff, I was wearing this suit called The End, and he's wearing like a jacket with his hood up, and he's wearing like these military black and red camo pants going into his boots. Like it is so sick looking.
Yeah. Yeah, he has some really cool ones.
Yeah. The one that you get for beating the game is you get to wear this kind of this hoodie that is spray painted on, and you have a cat in your backpack wearing a Spider-Man mask as well, and that's pretty cool.
I think that costume, the eyes are bigger too from the images I've seen. It's pretty cool. Yeah, dude, so much fun to play. Miles is such a fun, cool character. Yeah, overall, man, it is just so good. And people are writing some of the reviews, like it does retread some of the same areas and similar mission types in this, obviously with it being like very shortly after the first game. But in every regard, like Preston said, I think that's the best way to describe it. It's just far more refined. The new animations, the snowy city, Miles as a character, all of that just takes it to a whole new level and just has me that much more excited for what they do, like investing years into the sequel, like where it's going to go.
Oh, yeah.
So both from a gameplay and story perspective, like Insomniac, man, they're just so unbelievably talented.
They are like my second favorite developer right now, I think.
Yeah. That's what's
at least in terms
of
PlayStation and PlayStation stuff. I think they've solidified as a clear second to me under Naughty Dog, because just with these games and Ratchet and Clank, like holy crap, they're just killing it.
That's what's great is that it'd be one thing if the Spider-Man games had great gameplay and like a mediocre story, or like a good story and like mediocre gameplay, but they've nailed both so well that I feel like that's such a rarity for many studios, just nail everything on all fronts. And not only are they just clearly incredibly talented there, but there's so much heart and passion and love poured into these Spider-Man games, especially Miles Morales, dude. I'm just like, they're so good.
Oh, yeah.
So I've had just nothing but fun with that game. I've had so much fun. It's actually like I've had so much fun that I have to like choose to go play Demon's Souls, and I'm really enjoying Demon's Souls, but like I have so much fun in that, it's like hard for me to step away from it.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about Demon's Souls? Because I really haven't played too much of that game. That's definitely a game I don't want to keep jumping back to, because I don't want to, get somewhat good at it and then go play something else and then forget how to play it,
Right. I think I had that revelation last night when I played Morales for maybe 5 or 6 hours yesterday, and then I jumped into Demon's Souls and I had to sort of like get my bearing for that again. I played Demon's Souls for a few hours. I beat the first boss, and which is like such a joke. Like I beat the first boss. I'm like, I don't even feel good about this because it was so easy. But everything leading up to that, there were some unique challenges, and of course, exploring the first area of the game is just, from a visual standpoint, is just beautiful. And something I've always loved about the Souls-like games is just the atmospheric nature of them, and what's the word I'm looking for? The storytelling they do through the world. There's a term for that.
The atmospheric.
That's storytelling. The term. It's like the world tells the story. There's a term for that. I just can't think of it. I'm so tired. But I've loved that, and it is truly stunning. Like all the areas are so pretty, and the sound design is so good too. Like everything just sounds brutal and intense, and of course, in addition to the haptic feedback and stuff, the controller is amazing. So really digging it, but I think I'm gonna go back to Morales and finish that before I actually like go neck deep into Demon Souls. But
For sure.
really awesome so far. Man, that I align with what people are saying now. Like anything From Software puts out, I'm sure from a gameplay standpoint will be awesome as always. But after Bluepoint has gone back and completely remade Demon Souls to a point where it is just like, I mean, I know Sekiro is a totally different game, but just compare like the presentation of Demon Souls to Sekiro. It's like, holy crap, is that a leap? So like Elden Ring, for example, I'm sure will be awesome, but it's going to be weird playing a new From Software game when it doesn't like look or sound like Demon Souls.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it'll still be cool, but like Demon Souls is just wild what they've done to change everything.
I'm not sure like who owns the rights to Bloodborne. I don't know if it's both Sony and FromSoft, but do you think like maybe Bluepoint would transition to something to like a Bloodborne 2 sequel, like if they were allowed to do so, like after what they've made with Demon Souls?
I don't know if they would be given their
like
own,
two From
I don't know
Software
who
games.
has the rights in terms of all that. So
I mean, I think Sony has the rights to Bloodborne. I'm pretty sure. Because if they didn't, there's no way that wouldn't have been released on PC or something else at this point. So I think that has to be Sony.
So that's something to think about. Maybe we get a Bloodborne 2 eventually. If you know,
I think people would be happy if From Software just added a 60 FPS mode to Bloodborne.
Yes,
for
that would
gen.
completely.
Like, goodness gracious,
that would be just as good as Bloodborne 2 at this point.
I agree.
Because
that's what it would take for me to replay that.
Yeah, it's still the same crap even on PS5 at this point.
It's like it can't be that hard to add a 60 FPS mode. I mean, I know nothing about game development, but it can't be that hard.
There's just a switch you flip in there.
Yeah. You just go in and like hit 60 FPS mode. That's it, bro.
So I don't know what they're waiting on.
All you gotta do is put on performance.
We're not asking like for up-res textures or like, I don't even need it in full 4K. Just give us 60 FPS.
Was there anything else you'd like to touch on with the PS5?
I don't think so. I think that about does it for me. I'm just stoked to be playing.
I have a couple questions. Is the console quiet?
Yes.
Very quiet.
I have not even noticed it.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
That's what you get when it looks as wild as that thing does.
Hey, I'll take it. Instead of having
I have a buddy at work who has a PS5. He got one on the day of release, and he said it's really hot. Are y'all's
is he like
consoles
putting
hot?
his feet on it or something? He's using it as a
he says he
footstool,
like
or like baking his hot dog, or like his biscuits on it, and using it as a toaster oven.
He might be. I'll have to ask him.
I've been cooking my eggs on my PS5, and dude, it's real hot.
I mean, I haven't touched it, but I mean, all electronics get hot when you're using them.
Yeah. I don't know. He was just telling me that it gets very hot in the back. So
that's weird. Is he like putting is it like sitting next to his face or something?
No. He said it was, it's just on a shelf and it's just next to a wall. It's just blowing out hot air, like very hot. So I don't know if that's just his or if you guys have the same experience.
That's probably common. I mean, stick your hand over the exhaust of your PC. It's pretty freaking hot.
True.
So, I don't think that's too much of an issue.
So how, like you said, the DualSense is heavy. Like, is it like really heavy or is it just a little
the
bigger?
controller is very light. He just means like it's nice and girthy. It fits in your hands well.
It just it doesn't feel like like the PS3 controller feels like a Fisher Price toy. Like you could just easily crush it in your hands. This feels just like a very solid product.
Feels like there's some technology.
It feels like a premium
very
product
premium,
that like I would like my stomach would drop out if I broke it or like smashed it on something. So
at least at this point, I can't imagine throwing this thing across the room.
Oh, wow.
I'm sure there's gonna come a point when I do it, but as of now,
This one sounds like it'd be way harder to zombify because of all the haptic feedback and the triggers and stuff.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah.
This is gonna put a hole through anything I throw it at.
The controllers are $70, correct?
Yes.
US dollars?
Yes.
Or $69.99. Do you have the charging station, Preston?
I do.
Gotcha. Do you have two controllers?
I do not. I just have one.
Okay. Do you have the media remote?
I don't. I do have the headset.
Oh, you got the headset. How is it?
I do have the headset. It is cool. The the 3D audio stuff is cool, but it's not like a game changer at this point. But when I've used it, it is cool. It's just noticeable to hear stuff around you. Like there's a point in Miles where you go to a record player and throw on some tunes, and that was the only point in the game where it actually stood out for me, because I walked around the corner and I could actually hear the record player like at the back right of my head, and I noticed that. I was like, oh wow, and I slung the camera around and the sound still stayed at the same place.
Yeah, that's neat.
So yeah, that was cool. The headset is very comfy as well.
Nice.
So
that's important.
Yeah.
One more question. What was it? I was thinking of it while you were speaking. Do you both have the disc PS5?
I do. Garrett does not.
Oh, Garrett, you have the discless.
Yeah, going fully digital. My
Nice.
main motivator for me was just I've been getting digital codes for the last few years exclusively. I haven't bought a physical game in close to 3 years. So I'm already used to that anyway. So I went discless for this generation. And my Pro, I'm gonna stash the Xbox One and just set up the Pro next to the PS5. So if I want to like watch a like Blu-ray, which is also pretty rare, I can just pop it into the Pro.
Nice.
So,
Gotcha.
Yeah, I wish that there was a way to, and I know you can't, but I could actually store my physical game on the PS5, because it's so fast that when you want to swap games, I just would like to just do it at the push of a button.
that's what I've been doing.
Yeah, but because of that, like when I switch to Demon Souls, I have to insert the disc again.
Oh,
what a pain.
Yeah, I've been swinging. I'll like be swinging around as Miles, and like 20 seconds later, I'm slashing a monster in Demon Souls.
That's
awesome.
Nice.
The only game I've been able to do that with is like Bugsnax. And it's, like I said, it's so fast, and I'm like, oh man, like I wish I could do that with all these other games. But I don't know where I'm gonna stash all my PS5 games, because I have these two like media towers on both sides of my TV, and I have like 50 something PS4 games filling up both of them. So I have no room for my collection of PS5 games. But
what are you
so
gonna do?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to figure something out. But I definitely am going to have less PS5 games this generation than I did PS4 games, due to me having a PC. Because probably over 50% of these games are third party games that I am going to buy on PC this generation. But anywho, yeah, that might wrap it up for our PS5 impressions.
I think it does, Preston.
If anybody else has anything to say, like Garrett,
I don't. I'm fresh out of questions.
No, man, I'm just it's very exciting to be at the onset of a new generation of gaming. Let's reflect for like very briefly just some of our favorites from last generation, just because I know we had talked about that last episode, which was weeks ago now. Like, oh, we're gonna talk about games of the generation. We just couldn't get together to do it. I think one thing that just in a sentence that just sums up the PlayStation 4 generation was in Astrobot. You collect like PlayStation relics and stuff, and I collected the PS4 in the game, and it said the description was "Promise greatness, delivered more." I was like, that's exactly what the generation was.
Yeah.
Like the greatness awaits, and like think about how great the PlayStation 4 generation was. Easily the best in PlayStation history.
Absolutely.
It was
just banger after banger after banger.
Yeah, I mean, PlayStation Studios, dude, is like, and of course we'll get used to the new. Like, I love that both Morales and the Demon Souls. I don't think Demon Souls does. It's Morales and Astrobot start with the PlayStation Studios intro now.
Yeah,
and it's very Marvel with like the
studio
highlight reel.
Yet
What is?
Bluepoint is not a studio.
Oh yeah, they gotta be soon, dude.
Yeah.
Like Sony, like look at the work they've done for you. Snag them before Microsoft did, because Microsoft's snagging everyone right now.
They've done
just
Shadow
they
of the Colossus, which was done extremely well. Now this game, like, you need to just snag
Sony
them
buy them before
immediately.
Microsoft does, because Microsoft is
There's
snagging
no
everyone.
way that Sony is not going to buy them. There's no way.
that announcement's got to be imminent at this point.
At the same time, though, that'd be a huge steal for Microsoft.
Yeah, but I'm sure
actually.
Sony has got something in the works with them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I'll give like my top 3 just off the top of the dome. I know like top 3 is hard. I mean, I could honestly name like a top 6 or 7 from the PlayStation 4 generation, but I think the obvious ones are God of War, Last of Us 2, Ratchet and Clank is up there for me. I'm thinking about exclusives right now. There's some third-party stuff as well that I love, but if I had to give a top 3 PlayStation 4 games just off the dome, I think it's immediately Last of Us 2, God of War, and
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, probably, yeah. So those are probably my top 3. I could name probably 6 or 7, but those are probably top 3 for me.
I have 3 really fond memories of games in particular on PS4. The first one being God of War. That game was arguably one of the best games I've ever played, as are most of these games that I'm mentioning. But that just goes to show how great this generation actually was. But God of War, The Witcher 3 is where I first played it, was on the PS4. God, like every open world game I play, I compare to The Witcher 3 and they all pretty much fall short, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I do want to play Witcher 3 on the PS5, especially when that new their update comes out, because I want to check that out.
Have you played it on PC yet?
No, I haven't bought. I haven't played it though.
Yeah, it's real nice on PC.
But like I keep saying, my PS5 will be stronger than my PC once I get it. So it's going to be where I play a lot of things for the time being. And the third game was Persona 5. It was my first entry into the Persona series, and I love that game. I do want to replay it, but it's such a massive game. God, I don't know if I ever will. It's quite the uphill battle, but Preston's currently trying to complete it again.
For the third time.
Yeah. You're insane.
It's a great game.
It is. It is. What else did I really enjoy? Spider-Man was really good. I remember really enjoying Bloodborne. That was still at the time when there wasn't a whole lot to play.
That was like the first or second like big PlayStation exclusive.
Yeah, it was the second one because the first was
Second Son.
Yep. Which I still haven't played.
Hey, it's on the Plus Bloodborne Collections thing on PS5.
Yeah, I should play it. I should.
It's a good one.
But yeah, Bloodborne was very good. What about you, Preston? What are your fondest memories of PS4?
My fondest memories. I think it
doesn't even have to be PS4. Actually, just the last generation.
I think it's. I think the PlayStation 4 was the big thing of the last generation for me. Just the exclusives just consistently being good. I think the only outlier there's really just kind of Days Gone, and even that really wasn't that bad. It just didn't live up to the excellent other games.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of crazy how all of their exclusives did pretty great.
I mean, I can't.
We usually don't see that.
They didn't release really like one bad exclusive. Like I guess you could argue
the order.
Even that I think kind of gets some bad rap. It was like fine, graphically at least.
If that came out at the end of the generation, I think people would call it bad for sure.
Oh yeah,
and actually, I went back to play it not that long ago. I'm like, man, this kind of sucks.
It's. But, I mean, I guess I'm looking at it with like rose-tinted glasses because back when I originally played it, I thought it was fun. It was fine. Mm-hmm. Definitely not incredible.
It was like a gear shooter in like the 1800s, basically.
Yeah, and I think that the world that they made was really interesting, and I hope at some point somebody gets to. That's what Blue Point needs to do. Buy Blue Point, get them on the Order
sequel.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
Let them develop their own game for once, even though it's an existing IP.
Yeah, but probably just the point of this generation when I was just like, wow, like. PlayStation is just unstoppable. It's probably when I thought that when I finished God of War for the first time. Mm-hmm. I just that game just I knew it was going to be good, but it was just so good that it just shocked me how much I enjoyed it. Just the several moments in that game that were just incredible. Just the way that it ended and and just knowing
and
that
just
we were
really good gameplay too.
Yeah, it
Like
was
the
just
progression and the combat and stuff was just so good.
Yeah. And then having played Uncharted 4, which just absolutely loving that game. And then, of course, I absolutely adore Part 2. Yeah, I don't know. I just really, and then Spider-Man, of course, just playing through that game the very first time was just unreal. Just to finally have my dreams come true of having an actual, Spider-Man game that it finally got, the treatment that it deserved, got that Batman Arkham treatment. If you know what I mean. But yeah, just too many to count, but just probably my favorite generation of gaming, including just like throwing the PC halfway through and stuff. Just a lot of really good stuff we played over the past couple of years.
A couple other things that I just thought about that I really enjoyed were Final Fantasy VII Remake this year.
Oh my gosh, dude.
So good.
Forgot about that game, and I absolutely adore that game. Yeah.
I think it might be my game of the year. Well,
it's up there for me. I freaking love
that game.
And
then number 2 is something that wasn't on the PlayStation, Breath of the Wild on the Switch. This generation was so good. Yeah. So good. I know we all really enjoyed it.
Are you looking forward to Hyrule Warriors or the Age of Calamity?
No.
Have you played the demo?
I'll look at it. No.
See, I was looking forward to it just with it being a canon Breath of the Wild prequel. So I was going to get it anyways just for the story. But I've played the demo 3 times, and I really like it. It's super fun, and the story is extremely interesting. So I'm probably going to buy that day 1 next week. So it runs like poo-poo, but it's still fun enough to trudge through it.
This guy's going to be over here playing his Switch.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. No, you'll have to let us know how it is.
For sure. I'm looking forward to it. But
do we have any actual news stories this week?
Just Mass Effect. I was going to say a couple honorable mentions for me were Doom Eternal, and I mean Doom 2016 as well, but I really love Doom Eternal. Ratchet and Clank was great. Horizon can't be overlooked. Horizon was really good. Thief, naturally, I mean, completely obliterates everything, but that was at the sort of
how can we talk about
next
generation without Thief? How dare us?
Shame on us
for last generation.
And I'm sure I'm forgetting like a dozen things, but so many good games. And I'm trying to think of like throw Microsoft one bone. I'm like, oh, that game was sick, dude.
I'll throw them. Oh no, that game was on PlayStation 2. I was gonna say Outer Worlds.
I mean, thankfully the Master Chief Collection finally works, but I'm playing it on PC now.
It took the whole generation.
Gears 5 was good.
I didn't finish it.
I liked Gears 5.
I got about halfway through. I was like, that's cool, I guess.
Yeah.
It wasn't different enough for me to keep playing.
That definitely defined the generation, though, was Sony exclusives.
For sure.
Like they dominated because of it. Yeah, it changed how, like, Microsoft changed their whole business model because of how much they were getting beat, basically.
Yeah. I mean, talk about killing it from the announcement of the PS4, which is just so hype, and just following through all the way to the end of the generation into the next. Like, completely nailed it. And that's why I love the description of the PS4, like promised greatness, delivered more. I was like, you said it best, Sony. I can't say it better than that.
With the acquisition of a lot of those studios that Microsoft has got, I have a feeling this generation will have a lot more stellar Microsoft exclusive games for sure.
Hope so.
I think that's definitely a wrong they're going to try and right this generation.
For sure. And the Series X, from what I understand, is just excellent from a hardware perspective.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's going to be some amazing stuff coming to Xbox. So
very
big hashtag not fanboys on all of this, of course, but PlayStation did kill it.
Very much looking forward to that new Obsidian RPG Avowed. Yeah. Stoked for that. That's going to be our Elder Scrolls before the next Elder Scrolls comes out in like 2040 something.
Right. I have the feeling we're going to see a snippet of either Starfield or Elder Scrolls, probably Starfield at the Game Awards this year.
That'd be cool.
Because I know Jeff Keighley was talking to, among other people, but he was talking to Todd Howard recently, and I bet they're going to work something out to have at least some sort of cinematic teaser, Lord willing, like a snippet of gameplay, just so we have an idea of what to expect.
I mean, there are already some screens that have been leaked that I've
Starfield.
That I've seen, and it looks cool.
Off topic, but I really hope we see Elden Ring. I really want to see that.
Yeah, it's high time we see Elden Ring. It's been a while.
It's become I follow their subreddit. It's freaking hilarious. All it is just them talking about how miserable they are. But it's like a joke because just them knowing
they've gotten nothing.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing on that subreddit was Phil Spencer saying that he actually has played the game, and like people were losing their minds on that subreddit because it just reaffirmed that it's not a fake game.
Yeah.
That's so funny and sad at the same time.
Yeah.
But no, I get it. I've like that announcement trailer. I'm sure got the whole world hyped, and people love FromSoft.
Yeah, ever since Sekiro, just like I definitely want to see them take on different things.
Mm-hmm.
So, like Sekiro 2, I very much want that, please.
I don't really want that.
I still cannot understand that combat, dude. I have tried for hours and hours, dude. I've watched every tips video you can imagine on YouTube, dude. I still can't figure it out. Just something about it just doesn't click with me. I don't know why.
Is it the parrying?
It's the parrying, dude. I just can't get it down at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I don't have like poor like timing with my fingers because I can play, for example, like I know it's like mouse and keyboard, but Doom Eternal, I can play master level like it's nothing. But you put me in Sekiro, dude, I can't parry to save my life. Like something about hitting left bumper, I just can't do.
Mm-hmm.
I know you can map your controls differently. I've considered doing that. Like maybe it's just that finger just isn't very responsive. But I don't know. Like I've tried for so long to get good at the game, and I just can't.
Honestly, in a lot of scenarios in that game, you can just spam the left bumper and get away with a lot of encounters.
I've tried that too, and it hasn't worked for me.
There are
Maybe I'm not
sometimes when you have
spamming
to be
hard
precise.
enough.
Mm-hmm.
So, but really like the game. Like I think it's awesome, but I just can't get past certain points.
I feel that.
For sure. All right.
Yeah, Mass Effect. I'm really excited about Mass Effect.
Yeah, Mass Effect is coming finally. Like we all knew it was coming, but it is officially announced.
Mm.
So, from what I understand, it's like up-res some, and I think that's all it is really.
I don't know if they've said anything about the combat maybe being retooled a little bit in the first game.
Yeah,
that's the main thing that I'm looking forward to, and or seeing.
I feel like if they had, they would have mentioned that. Like that would be a pretty big deal if they had.
The first game's combat is very dated, like extremely dated. So that's
why Jacob
kind of
just start with 2.
Yep. If they don't do that, then I'll just start with 2.
Yeah,
no worries.
Yeah, 2 and 3 still hold up.
Mm-hmm. The only thing you would miss out on in starting 2 is that there's a small amount of characters that you would be missing some context on. Like
like when they come back and stuff, they make a big deal out of it. But if you never played the first one, you're just like, oh, okay, there's that guy. I've seen him on the box.
YouTube video.
But by the end, I would recommend that. Like watch a story recap of Mass Effect 1 and then go into Mass Effect 2.
Yeah, but the thing is that Mass Effect 2 there's like you need to, if you're not going to play the first one, there has to be like a read up or a video that takes into account that you're jumping straight into 2, because I believe in 2, does it ask you things that you did, or
you can either import your save. You can actually, it's pretty customizable. You could import your save from Mass Effect 1, which I did, but it also lets you alter certain things if you want.
Okay.
Like I think I kept the ending from Mass Effect 1, but I like changed my character's appearance and I like changed a couple of his upbringings and stuff.
Yeah.
But
because there are characters that could have died in the first game that just won't even be in the second one.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really know how that works, but now you'll figure it out.
Yeah. No, I am super excited.
A lot to look forward to,
It's about time.
Yeah, 2 is so good. I mean, a lot of 3 is really great, too.
3 is just murdered all because of the ending, which I agree isn't the best thing at all, but the journey up until that is still very much worth doing.
Definitely. And the ending, like, I feel like in any other franchise, if there wasn't such a heavy emphasis on player choice and along the way, you feel like, and that's what, not to go on a huge Mass Effect tangent, because everyone's heard this 100 times, but people were disappointed by the ending of 3 because it felt like every choice you made from 1 all the way through the end of 3 was like meaningless at the end of 3. Like, what was the point of any of this? It's kind of like the ending of Game of Thrones. Like, man, this sucked. Like, you really dropped the ball at the ending. And it very much feels that way at the end. Thankfully, like, all of the last season of Game of Thrones was pretty bad for the most part, but thankfully the third game is great. It's just the very last moments of it are like, well, that sucks. But it is what it is. But I'm excited for you to play too, Jacob.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah. Any other news that stood out to you guys? I only had that on our list because nothing else really seemed that important to me to mention. Or at least anything that really would appeal to us.
I texted Jacob that a new Sword Art Online movie was announced with a trailer this week.
Big news.
Yeah. So I'm
very big news.
Super pumped. It's based on the progressive novels, which are the actual like story. What actually happens in the first couple of floors.
The Sword Art Online game, or the first season itself.
Yeah,
because it sort of just jumps around floors.
Yeah,
but this will go into
this one goes like literally 1, 2, 3, 4. I think in the books it goes up to like 8 or 9 before he stopped. Because of course I don't think anybody expected him to write like 70 something books just to get up to where they were. But kind of bummed it's a movie because I would have loved to have seen an actual like season going through all
like
that.
A long season.
Yeah, but the books are very enjoyable, so I'm definitely excited to see this movie. So
I am too.
I
Keep
need
me
to
updated of when it'll launch and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I still need to finish the actual past 2 seasons.
Just watch it.
Yeah, I know. Now I have all these games now. I have no time to do anything.
I know. There's no time to do anything besides play games.
Watching that trailer though, and then seeing the poster, gave me the urge to finish it for sure.
Yeah, it all came back to me watching that trailer. I was like, oh man, I remember how good this first season was.
I know, it's so good. I've seen it like 5 times. It's great.
This is sort of like what I've been doing this week, but I watched The Queen's Gambit.
Dude, I've heard
on
that is
episode 3.
fantastic.
It is so good. Like I did not expect to like it at all when I saw like, the description of it, but I am blown away. I have like 20 minutes left in the last episode and I'm like, I can barely stop watching it.
Yeah,
like I should be like playing other things and doing other things, but I'm just like watching the show.
Yeah, I'm on episode 3. I've really liked it a lot too. I really like. I always forget her name, but she's really great in everything she's in.
She's incredibly.
She's the same
attractive.
girl from The Witch, Preston.
Yeah.
Oh, the daughter.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She's been in a lot since that movie, but it's that girl.
Nice.
It's kind of crazy how much they're telling in just 7 episodes.
Yeah. That's what I thought, cool. Dude. When I realized I was only on episode 3, I feel like I've watched 12 episodes already.
I feel like I watched 2 movies or something.
Yeah.
So that's really good. I like this format because it feels like a really long, in-depth movie. So, like a TV allows you to do that. Or I guess Netflix.
Yeah.
So it's just cool. It's a cool story.
Yeah, I've been watching that. I've also been watching, or I finished Blood of Zeus, which is the same animation studio that did Castlevania, but different writers and directors. I think Blood of Zeus is a really, really cool show.
It's very good.
But I think Castlevania is way better. Not only, I mean, the animation's relatively the same, but I think the story and writing kind of falls flat in some areas of Blood of Zeus. But it was still like action-packed and like really enjoyable to watch. But I think Castlevania is the better show. But it was really cool. So if you guys haven't seen Blood of Zeus, I definitely recommend it if you like Castlevania or just have any interest in Greek mythology whatsoever. It's a cool show.
Yeah.
I've not seen the most recent episode of Mandalorian. We're recording this as of episode 3 is out, so I've not seen episode 3 yet. I'm waiting to watch it.
I watched it Friday night. It was really good.
Yeah, I've heard it's the best episode in the season so far.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the first episode too, but this one is very good too. Like they're both really, really good.
Cool.
The last week was kind of it was good, but it wasn't like on the same level. So, I know a lot of people were kind of disappointed with episode 2. But yeah, I don't think I've been watching anything else. Now that we're on the topic.
Yeah, I think that's it for me. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else.
Yeah, same.
He's got nothing.
That brings us to Ask IOG. Ask IOG is the part of the show where we answer your questions submitted through any of our socials at ItsObviousGaming, the Ask IOG section of our Discord channel, or email to us at ItsObviousGaming@gmail.com. And always include the hashtag AskIOG if you want your questions read live on the show. First one comes from Big Tart. Big Tart! He says, well, hi-ho, you musky butt goblins. I'm doing a horror movie challenge for this is old, by the way, we missed it, but I think it's still fun to talk about. He says, I'm doing a horror movie challenge for the month of October where I watch one horror movie per night and was wondering if y'all had any suggestions for me to put on my list. Also, Garrett, when are you coming back to Austin so we can butt chug some Dugaritas? No need to read this part, but I've watched Friday the 13th Part 2, The Thing, Drag Me to Hell, The Fly, Brain Dead, Sputnik, Evil Dead 2, Alien, House on a Haunted Hill, Final Destination 3, and It Follows so far. Well, Big Colt, Big Tart. I will inevitably be back in Austin at some point in the near future because one of my really good friends lives in the city, so that's inevitable. So I will be back. Unfortunately, I was so busy working when I was there last that I had no free time whatsoever, but I will be back, and I look forward to those Dugaritas. Specifically, the butt chugging part is going to be great. When it comes to horror movies, all those you've named, I've seen all of them but Sputnik and House on Haunted Hill. I haven't seen those two, but all the rest are awesome. I really love like old school practical horror movies, like with like practical monsters and practical effects are just so much more disturbing than a lot of the digital stuff we have nowadays. There's still some effective, spooky, like gnarly movies that come out these days, but the old school stuff is just so enjoyable. And it definitely, I really like Halloween
I'll be right
movies
back, you guys.
That are, because those are like straight up horror movies. I also like just like traditional fun, joyful Halloween movies like Nightmare Before Christmas, Paranorman's a more recent one that's a lot of fun. The Corpse Bride, stuff like that is really good. I watched for the first, this is going to shock some people, the first time in my life I watched Hocus Pocus this year.
Oh, really?
I'd never seen it. I was shocked at how raunchy that was for a Disney movie.
It's terrible.
I was watching it with Casey, and the whole time we're watching, I'm like, there's no way this was, because it was on Disney Plus. I'm like, there's no way this is originally a Disney movie. She's like, yes, it was. I'm like, that's impossible. I mean, I know Disney's made some PG-13 movies in the past, like Pirates of the Caribbean and some others, but this was so sexually suggestive that I was like, there's no way this is a Disney movie. And it was. I was like, and it's technically a kid's movie. I'm like, what in the world? Like, it was like unabashedly sexually suggestive. Like, I wasn't offended by it. I was just taken aback that this was a Disney film. Yeah. But that was a fun one.
Different time.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of how to add to your list. Some other gnarly, I think American Werewolf in London's a really fun one. I think The Lost Boys is amazing. That's one of my favorite like horror comedies of all time is The Lost Boys. Both of those are from the 80s, I believe. What's another one? I also watched the original Fright Night. Like they remade it with Colin Farrell probably like 10 years ago now, but the original Fright Night from the 80s is so good. It was so much fun. And I realized that Disturbia, which you could kind of call a horror movie,
I like that movie.
That movie's like mini movies in one, like themes and genre-wise. I think that's why so many people love it, because I was talking to Zach Bynum about this. He's like, I don't know why I love Disturbia so much. I'm like, I think I figured it out. It's a horror movie, it's a thriller, it's a romance, it's a comedy, like all in one. So I think that's there. You just get so many aspects of that, like the family drama, the friend camaraderie, the boyfriend-girlfriend dynamic, the serial killer.
Because like the movie has like these different phases, like, and it's just a different genre each time it switches.
Yeah, it's just so much fun in so many ways. But I realized that Disturbia had to have been directly influenced by Fright Night, because I hadn't seen the Fright Night remake. I've only seen the original now. So that movie is about a vampire that moves in across the street from this kid, and he like investigates it, and the vampire ends up getting tangled into his life. And that's very similar to Disturbia, where the serial killer moves in and Shia LaBeouf is kind of like stalking him and he gets tied up into his life. So I realized that while watching, like, oh, this movie had to have inspired Disturbia, but Fright Night's cool. I'm trying to think of some more hardcore horror. If you haven't seen The Witch is like one of the gnarlier horror movies I've seen in the last several years. Green Inferno, Preston and I have seen most of these together. Green Inferno is pretty wild.
Was the new Evil Dead good?
The remake?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the remake's really cool. It's a totally different vibe from the original, but I think it's just a straight up gory horror movie. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I saw that like 10 years ago. That was good.
Dude, there is some like heavy metal stuff in that movie, dude. Like at the end when the girl chainsaws the last zombie, it is just so gnarly. It's straight out of Doom. So good. Yeah, that movie's cool. I haven't seen that in a while. I'm just going off the top of the head right now. There's a lot of good stuff out there. Preston, you could go on a tangent about Spooky Rice videos he's seen of like just the gnarliest stuff you could ever imagine that I don't even think is worth watching.
That's why I like Spooky Rice so much. Spooky Rice is a horror YouTuber who just does like breakdowns of just completely effed movies that you would never want to watch, but are interested in at least knowing what they're about. So that's why I enjoy his videos, is because I would never want to sit down for like 2 hours and watch some of the most effed up things ever conceived by humans. But I'll hear about them for like 10 minutes. So
yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I was still impressed in this. Some people will laugh at me for this, but it was like, it was a real thing for me. Preston told me that Hereditary was insane, and I hadn't seen it since it came out, and it's been out for a while. So I was like, I'm finally going to watch Hereditary because it was on Amazon Prime. I was like, sure, I'll watch it. So the whole movie is, and the whole movie's pretty disturbing for the most part, but there's nothing that was like shocked me by any means. I've seen like, name like any gnarly horror movie, I've seen most of them. So nothing in it was like truly disturbing, but the last like 20 minutes of this movie, dude, is like the most evil thing I think I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm talking from like a demonic hell perspective. And as a Christian, like I take that stuff very seriously, and it doesn't scare me. It's just like, it was very like antichrist and blasphemous, and it was just very evil. And I was like shocked at like the writer and director that you would write and direct something like this. I was like, holy crap, is this dark? And I think I've seen all of it, but the last 30 seconds of the movie, because I know where like the ending takes place. Preston told me like where I was is where the movie ends, but there's a line of dialogue spoken in the last 30 seconds of this movie that was so evil that I was like, I can't even finish watching this. I had to turn it off, and I was like praying out loud because I thought it was like inviting evil into my presence, how dark it was. I was like, that is so bad. But I enjoyed the movie up until that part from just a horror movie fan perspective. I was like, man, this is really intense and brutal and dark, but it's like well shot. It's well directed. It's incredibly well acted. But at the end, it's just so evil I couldn't finish it. So that was like the real shocker horror movie I watched. And I know there's way darker stuff out there, but for me, like that was pretty intense. So I'm trying to think some other fun ones. I think, the classic. I actually like multiple versions of Halloween. Like I think the original Halloween is really good. I know the newest Halloween is a direct sequel to the original. And as a direct sequel, I think it works really well. The newest Halloween's a lot of fun. I even like Rob Zombie's first Halloween reimagining. Like I know a lot of people hate on that movie, but I think it's just a reimagining of Michael Myers, and that story is pretty cool. So those are fun. I think the original Nightmare on Elm Street is cool. I could go on and on and on, but I think in addition to what you've named, Big Turt, I think those are all good options for Halloween movies. And that's the thing, I'm always like in a Halloween mood for the most part. I think that's why I've always been so drawn to Batman, is because he kind of like lives in like an eternal Halloween for the most part in Gotham City. But so I'm down for a Halloween movie any time of year for the most part. But I think a fun one around Christmas, if you like still want a horror movie, is Krampus. That movie is just dumb and ridiculous, but it's a really fun horror comedy. So good stuff, bro. I thought Don't Breathe was pretty cool. Don't Breathe is another good horror movie from the last several years. Cabin in the Woods cannot be overlooked. That movie is brilliant. It's like fantastic satire and like horror movie tropes from like the 2000s and onward. That is so, I thought it was like just very brilliant in its approach to like making fun of modern horror movies. It's really, really good. If you haven't seen Cabin in the Woods, you'd be doing yourself a disservice as a horror movie fan not to watch it. It's a lot of fun. An interesting fact about that, Chris Hemsworth is in that movie, and they waited to release it after the first Thor came out because he shot that movie like a year or two before he shot Thor, and that studio caught wind that he was going to be Thor for Marvel Studios. And so they waited to release it until after that. And because of that, it did much better than it probably would have because he was not like a big name at the time. Mm-hmm. So interesting fact. But yeah, I think I'll cap it there. I really like horror movies and Halloween movies. I could talk about that for a long time. But Yeah, Big Tart. Thanks for writing in, brother. And last one for today is Cyberpunk related. We kind of answered a similar question last week, but we hadn't heard Preston's perspective, so it'd be interesting to hear from Preston. But Gray writes in and says, "Hey fellas, with this recent delay of Cyberpunk, I've been uncomfortably excited for the game's release. When I learned of the delay, I was overcome with the intense feeling of okay. Whereas a lot of other folks were ready to set themselves on fire and run into GameStop demanding the game. So, my question be, do you think gamers are getting too entitled? They seem to think that they have some type of power over the developers more and more throughout my life. I find it worrisome." Yeah, I'd say that that's more or less the case of these, and it could be a generational thing. I don't know how old most of these people are that are complaining. I think it's a mixture of mostly trolls that just do it to like anger people and annoy them and frustrate them for fun. Honestly, I think it's mostly trolls, but there's also probably a lot of adolescents that are just on Twitter just whining and complaining. And I think a small fraction of people are genuinely outraged. I think the rest is mostly trolls. But
I think it's just like it's always happened. People have always been critical and like they talks amongst each other, like with their friends, their family members, whatever. But
right, but now like now on Twitter and stuff, it's like just uncontrollable.
It's more readily available to see criticism, just in general. So,
yeah, and
you're more likely to see it than positivity.
There's pros and cons to this because the entitlement aspect has certainly led to some revolutions in some games. Like think about. And even movies, like think about the fan outcry about Sonic the Hedgehog and look what happened to that movie. For the better. Like that was for the better. Like it cost the studio a lot of money to redesign Sonic, but I think in the long run, they were doing themselves a service for redesigning Sonic. And there have been some gameplay elements and many games that have been updated because fan outcry and like they hate it and like demand it be changed, and it's been changed. So it's a blessing and a curse, I think, for developers because some developers and movie studios have indulged those complaints. And even like the Snyder Cut is a thing now too. Like look how that's happening. And because of those answers, more people are going to feel more and more entitled as time goes on because people are actually responding to those like practically, not just like saying, oh, we might do it or we might change it. Like they're actually making those changes. Yeah. So I think that's also a result of why people act more and more entitled as the years goes on because they think if we whine enough, like we'll get our way.
Mm-hmm.
What do you feel? How do you feel about this, Preston?
No, I mean, I think you pretty much nailed it there. I think it's a little different though with what's going on with Cyberpunk. I think people are just upset because some people have taken vacation days off for when this game was supposed to release even before this current delay. So I think at this point it's just become irritating.
Yeah. It is irritating if you delay 3 times.
Yeah. But in terms, like I haven't taken any days off for that game, and I have so much trust in CD Projekt Red. Apparently it's Projekt. That I'm fine with as long as they need to take, and there's so many games that I can be playing right now that it's fine. So I definitely think it's a little different between the outcry that's going on right now with this game and with other things like the Snyder Cut or Sonic, because they're just reacting negatively to something that's been put out, whereas with this game they just want it to come out in general.
Yeah. I don't know. For me, it's like it's disappointing, not in the sense that it's being delayed, but it's disappointing that people are like being so negative towards it.
Yeah,
because of how transparent the company is being with all the stuff they've like been releasing and like just being transparent about like what's going on. I think it's cool to see.
It's
unfortunate,
and like the crunch thing with them. It's just there's then there's that whole transphobia thing that's been going on with CD Projekt Red, where there's just 3 things that a lot of people are just really hitting them big time with right now.
So for their sake, I hope the game's good.
It'll be good. If this game isn't good, then I'm gonna be very sad. So
me too.
I'm gonna. This is probably gonna be one of those games that even if it's awful, I'm gonna just lie to myself for like a few years that it's great, and then finally admit that I was wrong a few years down the road. So, but yeah, that's all I have to say.
I feel like I have an example of that exact revelation in something recently, or maybe even the industry. I was like, you know what? We were wrong about this. I'm trying to remember what it was. It was something pretty big. I can't think of it right now.
Something very recently. This happens a ton to Insomniac with Spider-Man. Like people were wetting their pants because they didn't have the Sam Raimi suit, and they finally gave in and gave him that. And then it was the saves transferring over from PS4 to the remaster version, and they gave into that, which I completely think it's fine, because I think that's a reasonable thing to want to request, and I believe they. You know, it was probably a little harder. I'm sure there had to have been something difficult with it, or else they would have just done it. But I'm sure seeing the outcry, the like amount of people that wanted that feature, that they decided it was worth it to go ahead and take on the task of actually doing that. But when it gets to a point where you're just like putting down Insomniac, calling them a bunch of the biggest thing I hate, even if you call like EA or Ubisoft, calling them a bunch of like lazy people and stuff, when there are people
like pouring years of their lives into these games,
putting like their heart and soul into these games, and just calling them like lazy because there's a feature or something that you wanted in the game that's not there, you know.
I'm glad they're doing that though, because I would not play much of Remastered if I couldn't do it on New Game Plus. If I'm going to play a chunk of that game again, I'd rather it be on New Game Plus with all my gadgets and suits and stuff from the start versus having to like earn all that stuff back. Because I actually, when Logan was at my place, I played a lot of Miles Morales, where you start out with air tricks and a few gadgets, and you're already kind of like up and running in that game. Whereas you go back to Remastered without any of that stuff at the beginning, you feel very naked and bare bones. It's weird. So I'd rather go back into Remastered with all my stuff.
Even the beginning of Miles Morales, because your swing speed increases as you level up. I felt like I was a turtle, in Remastered or in Miles Morales.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because I was just so used to playing the end game of the original Spider-Man. Like all I played was either New Game Plus mode, or I played all the DLCs and stuff. So like I haven't played the actual like beginning of a Spider-Man game since it first came out. So I just was not used to just swinging as slow, or not having, a ton of abilities or whatever.
Yeah, I am a little sad about Miles Morales, because I had the idea of like, I'm totally going to do the What's Up Danger like remake in the game.
I've already seen
obviously
it.
I couldn't get an early code for Miles Morales. I could have like, all those guys that have done that already, I could have like topped them so easily. And that's why I'm so annoyed, because everyone's like, oh dude, like so cool. I'm like, gosh, I could have done this weeks ago if I had a game or had a game code. I'm not upset about it, or upset about not getting a code. I'm just upset that I couldn't beat them to it, because I know I could have done it better. So I've just like forgotten about that, because when I first got the game, I was like, all right, I want to get through the game, so I have like all the abilities and upgrades and blah, 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 and then I'll do the web swing video. But it's too late now, because like 2 or 3 people have done that. And it's gotten a lot of exposure too, so oh well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I retweeted that clip. It was cool. Yeah. I think I saw it first from Jeff Keighley.
That is so cool though they did that. I mean, with it's the funniest thing to me. I'm like, I shouldn't make fun of people, but some people are just so dumb, dude. Like they'll watch a gameplay clip of that suit with the suit mod that makes him look like he's from the movie, and they're like, what's up with the frame rate, bro? Why does this look so bad? Comment. Why does this look so choppy? I'm like, I guess they haven't seen Spider-Verse, and if they have seen Spider-Verse, that's like, dude, get it together. Like, obviously, it's from the movie. But if they haven't, I understand. Like, some people just may be so out of the loop, they're just confused. But I've seen an alarming amount of people when I see those clips floating around. They're like, dude, what the heck is wrong with this game? It's hilarious.
Man.
So, but that is so cool that they did.
I'm really pumped that they put that suit in that game, though.
And not just the suit and the frame rate, but also like the wax and the pals and like the comic book text that pops up when you're fighting guys.
No way.
Yeah, it does that too.
Oh my goodness.
Super cool. I think it'd be cool if, a fun feature is if they let you put Peter in all the cutscenes in any costume you want him to be in, just for fun. Like in the cutscenes and stuff. Like it'd be cool if you had like Miles in his animated suit and Peter and his from the movie.
That'd be
pretty cool. Or just Peter in like his ridiculous skull suit, like Miles and something else, and they're like having full on conversations. It'd be really funny. I think I haven't played much of Remastered. I've watched a lot of cutscenes just to like see the new Peter in action, and I think he looks really, really good in Miles Morales.
Yeah,
I like the face a lot.
Yeah,
I'm still having to like get used to the voice with that face, but I think the more I play it, the more I'll get used to it.
Along with the face, you can just tell how much better the facial animations are. Even with the side characters, typically in games like this, when you're not even in a cutscene and you're doing like a side quest, the facial animations of those people is just so bad compared to everybody else's. But their lip syncing and just facial animations are extremely good. Not on par of the actual like cutscenes and stuff, but they are no longer. We're finally in the age of gaming where the side characters actually look like they're at least somewhat on par with every other character. So
yeah, I can't wait to play that game again.
Oh yeah,
it's so much fun. I think we've answered all the questions, haven't we? Yeah, it's just those two. So
cool.
Unless you guys have anything else to share, I think that'll do it for 252.
I think that'll do it.
Don't really. I just want my PS5, Garrett. Give it to me.
Well, you're welcome to come over tonight for a bit if you want, Jacob, and just dabble a bit.
You want me to come over?
Yeah, I mean, if you got nothing else going on, why not just like come play some stuff for like a couple hours and go home? We can even get dinner.
It's a long drive. It's a very
long drive for some cool video games and dinner.
But I also have to go to bed early.
Yeah, I should probably go to bed early. My self-discipline's lacking in that department.
Yeah, I definitely need to. I woke up at like 11 o'clock this morning.
Yeah, I only got 3 hours of sleep last night, but like part of me is like, dude, just stay up to 1 a.m. again and playing PlayStation and go to work.
That's exactly what I did.
At least you have a new console to enjoy, You have an excuse.
Yes,
now I'm very much at that age, dude. I don't have the energy like I did when I was like 18, like early 20s. Like I could stay up all night and go days without like hardly any sleep and be fine. But nowadays, if I get less than like at least 6 hours of sleep, man, I'm just dead all day.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad you're trying to get more sleep.
Yeah, trying in major quotations.
I've actually been getting tons of sleep lately, and it's helped me a ton. Like
nice.
I just feel better all the time. Because I would consistently get 5 or 6, and things started to hurt more.
I've finally come to the realization of the truth that sleep is so important to every aspect of your health, mental, physical, everything, emotional. Like sleep is just so crucial.
I still hate it.
Yeah, I hate it too because I wish I was like at the Cullens in Twilight where I just didn't have to sleep because I could get so much more done. Like, I only like sleeping when I'm, like, super tired. I'm like, oh, this feels amazing, get in a cozy bed and sleep for a while. But other than that, dude, I hate the act of, like, disciplining myself to get in bed when I don't feel tired and just lay there till I fall asleep. I hate. I've hated it since I was a kid, dude. I've always hated it.
Well, you fix that by going to sleep at the same time every night.
I know I did that for a little while. I was very disciplined, but when I started this new job, my whole sleep schedule got out of whack again. But random thought that's heartwarming for the end of this podcast is Zach Bynum, who's been on this podcast, Ricky Pringus. He sent me a video of his son watching Phantom Menace for the first time, and his son was on the floor, eyes fixated on the final battle between Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Darth Maul, and he wouldn't take his eyes off the screen. And Zach kept going back and forth for like 30 whole seconds. Like, that's amazing. Because Zach and I used to fantasize about that all the time. Like, I can't wait to show my kids like superheroes and Star Wars and blah, 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 blah. And like, it's so cool to see those conversations come to life with his son, like watching Phantom Menace as an infant and totally fixated on the screen. It was cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's probably going to force him to watch that movie every year.
Oh yeah, dude. Like I'm hoping his son is like as big a fan as his dad is of Star Wars. So that was a really cool video, but
for sure.
I think that'll do it, gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, to everyone tuning in on the podcast, this is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube, usually, and many other services. And of course, you can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We're not on Parler. I don't know if we're going to make the switch or not. I've seen so many funny memes of like that meme of the guy at the urinal and the other guy like walks and stands like right next to him and looks at him. He's like, I'm on Parler. So funny. But yeah, follow us on social media. And of course, we'd love to hear from you guys on Discord. Join our Discord if you haven't. It's a very fun place. A lot of awesome people on there. And if you guys are playing PlayStation 5 or Series X and just how you're feeling about it, we'd love to, of course, hear your thoughts in either the comment section on YouTube or, of course, in Discord, where the conversation's always ongoing. And we love you. We appreciate the continued support over the years. And we still very much love doing this podcast when we can. And we're grateful for the continued support and for the community we've built over the years to just talk about fun stuff, especially when really exciting events happen, like new generations of games. So this is a very fun episode, gentlemen. Love you both, and I can't wait to see you again. And Jacob, I know you're probably not coming over, but the offer's still on the table. And
I appreciate it, dude.
In spite of that, I hope we get to hang again soon and do another episode next week.
Yep. Hopefully next time I talk to you guys, I'll have my PS5 and I'll be able to speak about my experience. But until then, have a great week.
Yes, sir.
You as well. Bye-bye.
See ya.